Okay, this is where I have to address a few things, people. I've been quiet for a while. But now I must speak. Initially, this podcast was going to address the Andre Ward situation, and I will get into that. But I primarily want to get into what was an interesting match last night between Danny Jacobs and Triple G. Now, I've said this many times, and I've been saying it over and over again. I've been posting on the threads about this many times. Be a fan of the art. Be a fan of the sport. Stop for a second being fans of a cause or a movement. Just for a second, stop. A lot of people claim they're coming from an objective point of view, and looking at things objectively, and they're analyzing the factual data involved with the sport and this, that, and the third. But I see that so often it's not really fully the case. See, I'm somebody who, when I analyze the Maypac fight, I'm a fan of Floyd's. I don't have some angry, seething hatred towards him for this, even though I dislike a lot of the things that he's done. As far as what he brings purely to the sport from a technical standpoint, I appreciate that. I'm also a huge fan of Pacquiao. Now, watch the fight as it was. Hands down, looking at it from a technical standpoint, Mayweather did not do enough to seal that fight. Although I'm not super angry at the decision, I must say, irregardless, the wide margins that were the 118, the 118, 110 scores that I was hearing for the Maypac fight were ridiculous, clearly. And that's saying that from a completely objective point of view. Now, with the Danny Jacobs and Triple G fight, I watched the fight. One of those fights where I really wasn't that sure what to expect. Danny Jacobs never really took my breath away as far as, his technique and everything. But at the same time, neither has Triple G. Triple G and Danny Jacobs really canceled each other out in a lot of areas, despite what a lot of people have been saying about them from one side or another. Triple G is deceptively effective. He has very good movement in ring generalship. He's able to cut the ring off very good, and he's very good at putting his body behind his punches. You really never see Triple G throwing arm punches. And he has decent speed, and he has a very good jab. He's not a perfect boxer, and he does not have excellent defense. The people who are claiming that they see this from Triple G, that's what they want to see from Triple G. That's what they're telling themselves they see. He has never had it. In this fight, he ate a lot of shots. He ate a lot of left hooks. Danny switched to southpaw and was effective for a lot of the fight, sticking in southpaw, because then he could ride the right hand out and counter down the pipe with the left hand instead of having to check hook it over the top. He was very effective when he switched to southpaw. He had Triple G missing the right hand often, and he was open for the left hook, which, to be honest, Danny Jacobs didn't seal the deal with the left hook in a lot of big opportunities. But I'm listening to these commentators, and the whole time they're talking about, Danny Jacobs, he's not really dealing with the real, like Triple G's giving him a break. Triple G's defense, he really wasn't on point. I'm like, first of all, the movement of Danny Jacobs was actually pretty good. I was impressed. Once again, I didn't come into this fight rooting. I came into this fight watching. Danny Jacobs surprised me, using a shoulder roll on occasion, rolling a lot of punches, and he was squared up with the shoulder roll. He didn't always backpedal or run to the ropes with it, which is not really a good idea with Triple G anyway. He was up front rolling him with what you could call the Canelo roll, what Canelo likes to do, where he rolls his whole body with the punching combinations. Danny Jacobs did that very effectively throughout the entire fight. And a lot of people are being nice and talking about, oh, well, we had it even going into the 12. Oh, well, it was a close fight. No. Danny Jacobs, I'm not going to say he blew Triple G out of the water. He very clearly won that fight. And if you are truly an objective boxing connoisseur and aficionado, you call that as it is. All the people are going to turn around now and try to defend Triple G. Now you're just letting feelings get involved. I like Triple G. I'm a fan of Triple G's, just like I'm a fan of Mayweather's. But when they fall short, or when they do something that's not right, I'm going to call it as it is. For you to defend, even try to defend what happened last night in that fight, you clearly are a fanboy. And at the same time, I'm not a Danny Jacobs fanboy. I'm not going to defend. There were some times where he was throwing arm punches, where he was getting sloppy with his footwork and he was sitting out front. He didn't even have to take that knockdown. That knockdown happened because he sat there, as he did several times in the fight, where he overcommits to a combination without planting his foot first. And then he allows Triple G to step in. He's off balance. Triple G didn't catch him with a crisp shot that hit him at the end of it with some power and knocked him down. No, he mowed him down with like a left and a right hook and practically walked over him while he did it. That wasn't a knockdown. That was a mow down. I'm not taking anything away from the quality of the knockdown. I'm just saying that the technique of Danny Jacobs facilitated it. Now, his technique was lacking at times in the fight. His jab was very crisp, nice right hand, nice uppercuts that will lift the Triple G up a lot of times. And deceptively, what can't be missed is the body work. I said it opening up the fight. Body shots are effective against Triple G. He doesn't like them. And what did Rosier say in the corner? He said exactly that. The dude does not like getting hit to the body. When he started going to the body with combinations and digging that left hook and that left uppercut to the body, that 3-5 combination, what happened? Triple G started standing up. He started backing up. You rarely see him do that. Now, going into the fight with Kell Brook and Triple G, I say, you know what? From the training camps and the mitt work that I saw from Kell Brook, it did amaze me. I knew he was coming in with a size deficit, but it did amaze me. I didn't get that amazing quality from Danny coming in, but apparently he was working on a lot of things in camp. The dude won the freaking fight. Period. He won. And at the end of the day, we can't go with this archaic nonsense where if somebody's built like iron and they don't show damage in fights and they don't get hurt and they walk forward and stalk their opponents, then they don't lose. There are a lot of Mexican fighters who are like that, and there are some Russian fighters. You don't see a lot of them today, but there are a lot of Mexican fighters and there's some Russian fighters that's their style. They have iron jaws. You see some of them in MMA more so than boxing now, but they have iron jaws. There's some guys with the 4-ounce gloves in MMA. They can walk forward and be super dangerous for 5 rounds in an MMA fight. There are boxers who are like that. Triple G is like that. He has the type of power and chin where he can walk forward and be extremely dangerous for 12 rounds. That does not mean he wins by default. If you watch the quality of the fight, I understand the knockdown. When the knockdown happened, it was early in the fight. It was after he was already down 3 rounds. The knockdown didn't bring him back. It just put him back in the fight. He was still down a round. I was cognizant of that. I took note of the knockdown, but I was also aware that the knockdown didn't change that much. I knew that Danny Jacobs had to be on point. He had to be on his game, because going forward, if he started dropping rounds, which he started to, Triple G was back in the fight. And Triple G did grab some rounds. But he also started losing the majority of the rounds as well. Danny Jacobs got on his bike, He moved effectively. He engaged effectively. I'm not a fanboy of this dude. When I watched him fight Kid Chocolate, I honestly felt that Kid Chocolate was gun shy. And he got caught. When he fought Sergio Mora dropped him and was outboxing him for a lot of the fights because I saw a lot of sloppy hands from him and a lot of sloppy footwork at times. I'm not a Jacobs fanboy. He stepped his game up just like Kell Brook. I wasn't a fanboy of Kell Brook. He had a nice performance against Sean Porter, but he had some rough wars with B-level fighters over in Britain. So I wasn't a big fanboy of his either. But both of them stepped their game up when they fought Triple G. And I call it as it is. Kell Brook exposed certain things about Triple G in their fight, like I've said. And now you see it come full circle. You see it come full circle with Danny Jacobs. He beat him. Triple G knows he lost that fight. He knows he lost that fight. But he also knew that he was going to get that decision. You know? To be honest with you, not early in the fight, but towards the end of the fight, I don't know if Danny Jacobs saw it. I think he might have. Triple G was actually ready to go for a little bit. And actually, as the fight ended, he was actually holding on. He was holding on, trying to catch his bearings. He was ready to go. If not completely out, he was ready to go for like a very brutal knockdown. If you watch his legs, you watch his body language, because he was getting caught. See, it's the punches in boxing that you don't see. Those are the dangerous punches. Danny Jacobs had a lot of those sneak hooks, a lot of those sneak uppercuts that were catching him flush. A lot of right hooks, and because he was switching stances, it was hard for him to adjust. So Danny was catching him with hooks that came from angles he didn't see. And even with his iron jaw, that started taking a toll along with the body work. Now you can criticize and break down my analysis all you want. All I'm doing is analyzing facts. Anybody who's analyzing facts, you're seeing what I saw.
Now for a break.
Like this whole Triple G has perfect defense, Triple G just chose not to do this, that's fanboy talk. And to me, like, you demean yourself when you say that. I'm listening to the commentators, I'm like, are these guys serious? When has he ever had perfect technique? He has good technique. He has a solid amateur background, if not great amateur background. He has very good head movement. He was slipping and ducking the punches and ducking hooks, very good at slipping the jab, coming in to throw his 3-4s. He's very good at that. His head work, his head movement and his defense was as good as ever in this fight. You just saw the true quality of it. It's like telling yourself that somebody is like a god. You're telling yourself that this person is untouchable, and now you're seeing that they are, and you're going through this denial stage of, oh no, they can't be. So you're making excuse after excuse. Dude, he lost. He lost. Now, I'm not going to say I expect a huge outcry, but I'm just saying, let what's good for one be good for the other. A robbery happens here, but it was a robbery of somebody that you didn't like, so it was cool. Then a robbery happens over here. Oh, but now you're invested, so now it's different. I don't like that. That was a real travesty, man. That was a travesty. Like, the Maypac fight was wrong. And I'm calling this objectively, this was wrong too. It's not about who you like. It's straight facts. This was borderline. I don't really like to throw the word robbery around too much. You know, a lot of people do that with the Kovalev fight and with the Maypac fight. Even though I don't agree with those, you know, with the decisions all the time. You can't call it a robbery unless it was a very clear wrong decision, meaning that it couldn't have gone the other way at all. This was one of those fights, just about. I mean, if not, it was very, very close. Because I really, under no circumstances did I see Triple G winning this fight. And I'm not talking about going into the fight. I'm talking about in reality when it happened. Which is where we should all be. He did not, in any circumstances, win that fight. I don't care what he was trying to do. And I don't care about a knockdown. And this is where it goes back to the Andre Ward fight. And this is where I feel bad for Danny Jacobs, because you can crucify bad technique on occasion, but you can't crucify a job well done. You know? You can compare and contrast this with the Andre Ward-Kovalev fight to a certain degree. Now, if Kovalev got the decision, it wouldn't be the same. It's not the same as this fight. Now, Kovalev boxed effective. He was quality in that fight. He was touching Andre Ward, if we want to get onto that. See, this is one thing about Andre Ward. I agree with the criticism there as well. I'm a fan of Andre Ward. I'm a fan of Kovalev, to make that clear. I agree with the criticism. You know, that they need to run that back. It wasn't that convincing. It didn't look good. Yes, I agree with the criticism there. This fight was different. But in Andre Ward's case, you know one of the things that hurts him? I can't knock him for getting the decision, because effectively he did on paper. When you look at what actually happened in the fight and look at shots landed, ring generalship, you look at all the factors involved. Yes, he did get knocked down, but he did get up and put himself back in the fight. He worked the body heavily in the second half of the fight. And it's not like he was getting tattooed the whole fight. So like I said, I'm not saying that I disagree with those who had Kovalev, because I'm just trying to bring out the differences. The thing about Andre Ward that hurts him is technique. Andre Ward is like Bernard Hopkins. Both of them frustrate me to no end, because they both have technique that undermines their expertise. What that means is both of them are considered defensive sages in boxing, and they both even have the same kind of technique. They both throw their jabs and straights the same way, where they kind of keep their arms bent and lunge into their jabs. It's very weird the way they fight. So when you look at it, nothing from Ward and Hopkins ever looks quality, because they don't snap their punches. They push them. They lunge into their punches and combinations. And it never looks pretty watching them fight. And because of the way they fight, they eat punches to the top of the head, or, you know, outside of the strike zone. They eat a lot of those because the way they just, you know, shuffle in. So it doesn't look good. It doesn't look like good quality work whenever you're seeing them fight. That's what hurts Bernard Hopkins, and it hurts Ward. They both fight the same way. But Ward got up off the canvas, and he did put himself back in the fight. So I'm going to say that goes either way. I mean, I'm not going to say that's totally out of this world that he got the decision like some people are saying. Like I said, that's emotional. But at the same time, I don't disagree with those who say that Kovalev maybe should have got the nod, because he did put quality work in. And he was catching Ward with hooks even late in the fight. But at the end of the day, that's that fight. This is this fight. Danny Jacobs won the fight, period. There's no disputing that. There's no arguing that. That was as clear as day. Triple G knows he lost. But the funny thing is the way the boxing world works. This happened today. But now a lot of the predictions that some from the Mayweather camp and others say about Canelo when he fights him, you might be shocked to see them come true. Sometimes when you get something that you don't deserve, you pay on the back end. And there have been a lot of situations like this where somebody's a favorite. You know, clearly he's being groomed to be like the replacement for Mayweather, you know, as far as the face of the sport. For several reasons, I'm not even going to get into it. But, I mean, I like Triple G. But even when I'm a fan of somebody, I don't like to see them get wins the wrong way. Because on the back end, he faces Canelo, and he gets knocked out. Now you say, oh, it's because of the matchup. No, not necessarily. Sometimes when you win and you know it wasn't totally clean, that sticks in your mind. And now you start doubting yourself. And you sometimes carry that 1, 2, 3 fights into the future. And then when you face that next super fight, you still have doubts from the last one. But we'll see how it plays out. I'll tell you right now, he definitely did not win that fight. Period. That's right.